Hello and welcome to The Gallery, a Premier Arts Collective podcast. This is a space to highlight the work of Premier Arts Collective, share conversations with creatives, and explore how the arts become a vehicle of healing and hope. If you haven't already, be sure to follow us and subscribe wherever you find good podcasts. Now, without further ado, let's dive into today's conversation. Hello and welcome to another episode of The Gallery, a Premier Arts Collective podcast. Mariah and I are here together today, and this is going to be a little bit of a different episode than maybe what's been in the past, of kind of the interview style. Mariah, we're just going to have a conversation, and that conversation is going to be looking back, reflecting upon 2025, which even when you and I sat down to write these notes up, so many things came back, and we were like, that was this year?
Absolutely.
Can you believe that was this year? And so, we're gonna take you through a two-part conversation. Part one, looking at kind of what we called like the big rocks of the year, the big events or the trips that we went on, some events that are really crucial to us, like Kaleidoscope. We'll talk about that kind of more in depth. And then part two, we'll be looking at our programs and what we do really kind of day in, day out, and what's happened over the past year. And, you know, Mariah, you do such a wonderful job of running our social medias and our email platforms and all that. And there's only so much you can type before you're overwhelming somebody with information. There's like, hey, I'm just trying to scroll here. And so, you know, this conversation is really going to be, even if you follow us closely on social and newsletters, which thank you if you do, this will be a conversation of peeling back maybe the curtain a little bit. Some of the words we threw out are what are the gold nuggets, like the catalytic moments that really kind of affirmed, they're like little God winks. They're like, okay, we're on the right path, but also things that we want to share, things that you wouldn't know unless maybe you were there. And if you weren't there, we're going to try to put you in the room with this conversation.
Yes, peeling back the curtain.
Peeling back the curtain.
And seeing the day in and day out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, part one, we're going to look through kind of our year in review of events and some of the trips we've gone on, and we're just going to go in chronological order. And so, to kick things off, we began 2025. Our whole team, Jean, Rebecca, me, you, we began the year with the K-Love Cruise.
We did. We went to sea.
Yeah, we have the joy with what we do. We've done this for the past 2 or 3 cruises to bring art and music experientials to the sea. We've had the opportunity to travel with Allison Huey and Lisa Lonsbury, who are phenomenal music and art therapists, and bring a little taste of art and music therapy to those on the cruise. Do you want to share about the one that happened this year with the air clay and the animals? Yeah,
that would be awesome. It was so cool to see Lisa in her element at sea and just see people. It's a wild time because the K-Love cruise, any one of these cruises is packed with, morning to night. You get the wake-up call, over the big sound system, everybody, rise and shine and give God the glory, right?
Yes.
And then literally at midnight, we'll have concerts by the pool even. And so we had about 15 to 20 in the room, and they were all making their favorite sea creature animals. And so to see them and to see how they were able to take a minute out of that crazy schedule and to just create. Yeah. I know some people, right, at first they were apprehensive about creating, but then they really started to enter into the process, and it really made an effect on them. Do you want to share more?
Yeah. The prompt was for everybody to individually make an animal, make a sea creature, like you mentioned. And you hit the nail on the head. Everybody's like, this is a little strange. It feels like I'm playing with Play-Doh. Is this what kids do? But then inevitably, you're quite literally in the middle of the ocean. So, you kind of settle in, you feel the rock of the ship a little bit.
Right.
And then everybody kind of gets quiet and they're in the flow and they're dialed in to, this little turtle or a snake or a dog or a bird that they're making. And then Lisa had, after they made their pieces, Lisa had them find somebody in the room that they weren't like sitting with or coming with, and see how your animal would interact with their animal. And I always get blown away because it sounds so simple. Just like, okay, I'm going to take this piece of clay that I made, and this. Immediately, it was kind of quiet. Then you heard like two people kind of hit it off, and then all of a sudden it was like boom, and it was like you're in a crowded, classroom of kids, and everybody's talking and sharing. And then Lisa ran around, and we said, how did these animals interact? And it's always so fascinating how deep you can get, and just this is this, and I made this because I'm more inclined to, I like to fly, and the person with the bird might find somebody who made, like a turtle. And so even in that room you have, well, this is kind of my personality. Well, I like to be anchored, and how those pieces of air clay are just simply talking points. And that's the beauty of art therapy. That was really cool. And then Allison, we had a second session on another day, and Allison brought her looping station,
so cool.
Which is phenomenal. So she brought her looping station, and Allison, she is a instrument savant, but not just like, your typical instruments. Allison has all these crazy, like 3D printed dual flutes, and just all these really cool instruments. So she brought those, and we all collectively made a song together on this loop station. Everybody got to go up and be involved, and that was really, really cool to see, because again, this ship, there's a ton going on, but also not only is there a ton going on, it's the K-Love cruise. So music is everywhere. And normally you are, I don't want to say consuming, maybe participating in the music, right? Somebody's on stage, and whether it's Brandon Lake or, on the big stage, or, maybe just somebody kind of playing an acoustic set, on the pool deck, but there's music going on. And you're normally going to be...
Or the radio playing.
Yes. For context, the ship is sold. It is a full ship cruise. So if you've ever been on a cruise before, you have like a cruise director, and he'll come up and try to hype you up. And then you're kind of at the mercy of whatever, Carnival or Royal Caribbean kind of puts on there. This is the full shebang. It is the K-Love radio DJs waking you up in the morning, and it is K-Love playing on the intercom. So there's music, Christian music everywhere. And so... For the passengers to be able to make their own song and do things, that was really cool to see.
Yeah.
And add their own spin to it. Oh, I like doing things like this. And we even kind of like a cool little nugget that we had at the end is we kind of jammed together like as a team. I played the ukulele. Allison, again, had one of her like flutes that has a plurality of different chambers in it. And Lisa grabbed an egg shaker and started playing. And I know that was something that, meant a lot to her, because she's like, oh, I'm in a jam session. Her husband is really musical.
Yes.
And so she got to be like, oh, I get to do an egg shaker now. It's really cool. And we made a little song at the end.
Yeah, she mentioned I was at the booth at that time, and I remember her coming to mention how much that meant to her to be able to experience what her husband enjoys experiencing so much throughout life. So she was like, that meant so much to me to be able to do that. So even after the actual session was complete, there was still some music jamming going on.
And I think that gets a lot to the heart of what we organizationally say probably time and time again. Is you don't have to be an artist. You don't have to think you're an artist. You are an artist, but you don't have to maybe think this. A lot of people don't think they're an artist. They think they're a musician. And it is incredible when that barrier to entry is lowered to something as simple as a piece of air clay or something as simple as an egg shaker. The barrier to entry is low, but what you get out of it still remains high. And I think that's such a beautiful thing that we get to do day in, day out. And we see all those little nuggets on the ship.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And another way that we were able to bring the arts, one was through our booth.
Yep.
Everybody had the opportunity to stop by and leave their mark on our collective cruise posters.
Yep.
And I'm telling you, people got so excited. Every cruise that we've done this, which has been about 3 now, They get so excited, especially the kids. I remember one father came up to me the last night of the cruise and he said, my kids have been begging me all week to be able to leave a mark on this poster. And it's just a sign of how we're all able to leave our mark on the world, and how everybody has a mark to leave. So that was one way. And then we were able to partner with a company called Grabby. And they make amazing watercolor kits. And so we were able to hand those out to all of the passengers that were a part of our mission excursion.
Yeah.
Wasn't that cool?
It's really cool. And real quick, just a quick plug. I know we're a little bit into this, but if there's ever a podcast episode to watch on YouTube or watch on Spotify where you can watch the video, this is it, because there's going to be a ton of pictures and videos overlaid. And so, if you're watching this, you'll see a picture of this. But for reference, the Grabby pack, the watercolor kit, it's like the size of like a large wallet. Like it's something that can be easily carried around. And so it was really cool. We gave those to the mission excursion participants, as you mentioned, and it was really cool to see the power of equipping somebody with the ability to create. And we met somebody there who was really impacted by just the freedom to create on the beach with the watercolor kit.
Absolutely. We have pictures of her, so I hope we're showing them. Yeah. But it was so cool was that her son, they had experienced a lot of hardship because he had physical challenges. And on this ship with the Grabby watercolor packs and on the beach, like you said, she was able to express herself and to have moments where she could just breathe and release and enjoy the creativity. And that was such a cool thing to see the fruit of being able to give that gift.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, again, the permission to even create, I think, is something that's so powerful of, being able to give somebody a watercolor kit and saying like, hey, I had a conversation with somebody and said, hey, here you go. Like you can use this. They weren't necessarily a participant. We had a couple extra. I was like, but just make sure you use it. Like bring me back a picture that shows me that you used it. Cause I want you to use this and feel the freedom to express. And same thing with the interactive board. It's nothing fancy. It's a 24 by 36 piece of foam core, and some markers.
And some ink.
Yeah, and some ink. But again, the power of like, oh, I can do this. I can touch this. I can make my own mark and not being like, okay, make sure that this area is this particular color red. It's like, it can be whatever you want. And people get very creative, lots of different colors. And, it might not be something that at the end of the day you want to hang up, in a museum, but, visually. But all the stories underneath it of just, okay, this is time to create, or wow, this is really cool, or, comments like, man, I haven't done something like this in so long. Like, that's why we do it, because it's just, there's so much power in, we know the power of creating. Absolutely. And we want to try to equip people with that at the lowest entry point possible.
Yes.
Yeah. So those are, oddly enough, kind of like the auxiliary points of the cruise. We have two very large auctions that Rebecca Gregory does such a wonderful job with procuring all these elements.
She does.
And so we have the honor and the joy of having silent auctions on the cruise where folks can come in and bid on some really cool things. Anything from a signed baseball from one of their favorite baseball players to a guitar that all of the artists on the cruise have signed. And it's a huge blessing to us that all the proceeds from those auctions go to our mission. The silent auction is something to be viewed and observed in and of itself. It's always really fun. And then the cherry on top is the live auction, where some of those bigger items, the guitars signed by David Crowder or by Kane or, your favorite Christian artists.
Or the Jared Emerson original.
And the Jared Emerson originals, which, yes, we do take those. Jared takes them apart, folds them up, and they walk off the ship with them. It's really cool. Those are a big undertaking for our team.
Yes.
but it's always so fun to see people's passion and zeal, not only for the instrument that they're bidding on or the item that they have their eye on, but also an understanding that this is a charity auction and it's going to a good cause, and we could not do some of the things that we do without those auctions. So thanks to everyone involved in those, and that's why, if you're going to go on Instagram and look at our carousel, you'll see some of the auction content because it is so important to us.
Yes.
So, Mariah, let's talk about my personal favorite part of the cruises, the mission excursions.
Let's talk about it.
We have had the joy of going and serving in the ports with a number of teams. So maybe let's not look back historically, but let's bring it to 2025. We had 4 ports when you combine, the 2 from the K-Love cruise and then the 2 from the Summer Worship Night cruises. Do you want to speak some about the logistics of what all goes into that and who all was a part of it?
Yes, we had teams of one team. My team in the Dominican Republic was around 100 people.
Yeah.
I think the Batey team was about 25, 30.
Yeah.
And so we have most usually over 100 passengers that join us on different excursions.
Yeah.
And it was so wild in the Dominican Republic. That was in January. Our team in buses crossed rivers to a remote village and assembled and delivered water filters throughout the village. So what an amazing experience to leave the port, drive about 40 minutes, cross a river in that bus, and then go to a whole different area.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of people don't realize is outside of the port cities and the tourist areas, it's a very different world out there. My favorite part, honestly, about these mission excursions is the amount of passengers that are jumping at the chance to serve.
Yeah.
It's really the most beautiful part because these are people taking a whole day out of their vacation.
And paying for it.
For it to go serve communities.
Yeah.
And something that pops up into my head is a story about our driver when we're talking about those communities and how important they are to us. Mm-hmm. You want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah. So in Grand Turk, again, huge shout out to Gene and Rebecca. We are prepping for the 2026 cruise as we're recording this, and you always need to go on, or they go on site visits. Mm-hmm. So when we get off the ship, this is not the first time we've been there as a team. They do so much work to get things ready and ensure that in that sometimes as short as 4 hours to maybe 8-hour day that we're getting the job done. And that takes a lot of prep work. But for Grand Turk, I was actually able to join Gene on the site visit. And so, we're in Grand Turk and, you got to go eat. So we walk to this restaurant called the Fisherman's Wife. I'm going to call this person the Fisherman's Wife for the rest of the story. And so, we're there, and we're clearly not locals. We got Southern twangs. What are we doing? But we're also not on a ship. So, it's like, what are you doing here? Tell me more about what's going on. And we started explaining, well, this is who we are. This is what we do. We're here to serve the communities in need. And, the Fisherman's Wife she has a way with words, and she in a very colorful way basically communicated to Gene and I that the work that we were doing was futile. It was pointless. It was dumb. You guys are stupid for being here. Don't you know that? Fill in the blank. And basically giving all the reasons why the work that we were going to be doing in 2 to 3 short weeks with everybody on the ship it's a waste of time, waste of money. I don't understand why you were, showing these people mercy and love. And so, if you know Gene, that means that you're going to be eating dinner there for at least 2 more hours, right? Because it's going to, Gene's not one to shy away from, a hard conversation. And so over the course of that night, we're just sitting and talking and explaining more. And she still was like very confused and very kind of brash about it. If you've watched television, mid 2000s television, she reminds me a lot of Dr. House, where like she'll just tell you straight up how it is. There's no filter, no, really like Southern beating around the bush, for the sake of, oh, bless your heart. So
very direct.
Yeah. So we end up getting, this person's contact information and, WhatsApp stuff. And that was, we thought, gonna be the last time that we were going to see the fisherman's wife. God in his providence, threw a monkey wrench in our driver's plan, who was going to be our person that kind of showed us around the island. Because again, for context, the cruise lines generally go back to the same place year over year. And so again, Gene and Rebecca do such a wonderful job of not only making beautiful mission excursion opportunities for the people on the ship, but they also do a really good job of building relationships with the locals on the island or the country that we're in. And so, Gene knew a guy from when they were in Grand Turk, years ago. This is going to be our guy. And he had some work to do. He did duck boat tours, and what he thought his schedule was going to be and what it was ended up being two very different things. And so next thing you know, Gene and I are down here to go visit 3 or 4 organizations planning the mission work that's going to happen, and we have no way of getting there. And Grand Turk is small, but it's not small enough that you would just be cool with walking everywhere.
Right.
So who's the person that we need to get us there? Was the fisherman's wife.
The fisherman's wife.
We go to the fisherman's wife. And, even in that short conversation the night before, we saw a little bit of heart change. And, and so at the end, she said, hey, if you guys need anything, let me know. If that tells you anything about just the fruit that happened in that conversation.
That conversation worked.
You guys are stupid too. And also, if you need anything, just let me know. And turns out we did need something. We needed a driver.
Yeah.
And so we contact her, and she says, "Hey, I'll be there. We'll roll out at 9."
Amazing.
And we had some food distribution that we were doing at the clock tower on Grand Turk, and giving away some food to those who were in need of some meals. And so we need to go grocery shopping. The fisherman's wife owns the restaurant, and so she hooked us up with the deals. This is the grocery shop you need to go for this. You need to go for this. Everything in Grand Turk is ridiculously expensive, and so
Nassau too.
Oh my goodness! So the deals that she was able to get for us were really great.
Awesome.
And we spent the entire day with the fisherman's wife, and so we built a relationship there. And then kind of the really cool thing about that was we say, all right, we'll see you in like 2.5, 3 weeks, because the site visit was in like early January, and we're coming back the first week of February. So we'll see you, and hey, we're probably going to need you, because if our driver flaked out, or not flaked out, to give him credit, if our driver had a schedule conflict before, there's a chance he'll have it again, and we can't take that risk because it's going to be showtime when the people are getting there. And so, sure enough, 2.5, 3 weeks later, we roll up. We have the videographer that captures everything. Rebecca rode with the fisherman's wife all day because she goes and visits all 4 spots or 3 spots that we were at. And I think just the takeaway from that story is the very person who's like, you guys are stupid for being here. Why are you guys showing these guys mercy and love, and they're not deserving of this because of all these reasons she gave. We were able to sit with her, talk with her, give her the reason why we show mercy. We show mercy and love because we were first shown mercy and love. And so now this is an outpouring of Christ's love for us. All those conversations. And the very person who was quite literally cursing at us in our ignorance for doing these things was the very person who made the mission excursions happen.
Right.
She made it happen. When we had to get off the ship early and go to the second floor of a church, and me and a guy named Ben Boobin at the crack of dawn in Grand Turk are, taking mounds of rice and beans and taking them to the clock tower. Who's in that car taking us there? The fisherman's wife. When Rebecca needs to get from point A to point B, we do it quick because we got to capture this moment when you're at Mahala Wynns painting the murals, and it's showtime to capture that. The fisherman's wife is getting you there. I think
she brought us supplies too.
Yes.
We needed some extra supplies, and she was on it.
Yeah. So that story is just so cool because you never know.
Yeah.
so often with our programs and with the initiatives and the things that we do and the mission work on the cruises, well, who are we going to serve? Well, we're going to serve those in need. We need to go serve the people who are in need of a meal. We're going to go do music therapy at the mental health facility on the island. And we are there for them. And again, God, just in his awesome timing, we were also there to minister to and be ministered for the fisherman's wife and to be ministered to. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm trying to say. It was a mutual ministering from us and the fisherman's wife. And
a giving.
She was the reason why we were there as well as all the people that were serving, and just for her to see the love of Christ. And, she had a surgery for her hip. She walked with a cane. Again, another Dr. House reference. She walked with a cane. She had a surgery. She's feeling great. She doesn't need her cane anymore. And I was able to give her a call and just talk with her. And so she is somebody who I would call, Gene would call, we would all call friend. And just how beautiful those transformations can happen in such a short amount of time. That's kind of the resounding heartbeat of the mission excursions. Of just, you never know who you're going to meet down there. You never know who you're going to see. And also, you never know who you're going to serve. And one of my favorite stories that you told me was at Mahala Wynns, where your team that you were leading went and painted some murals in a girl's home, but there was even some stories underneath that main story that really touched your heart. Tell more about that.
Absolutely. So this was in January. Lisa and I worked on putting together this murals throughout these girls' hallways and their living room. And I mean, they wanted florals.
Yeah. So for reference, the whole house is about as pink as your sweater. So
more pink.
Every wall in this house with just
Magenta.
8 girls in the house. Yeah. Very pink. So it had to have some florals on it, obviously.
It did. So here's the thing, is a little BTS behind the scenes here, is how in the world you don't know really the skill level of the team members. So how are you going to make this happen in 4 hours? Do all these murals. So Lisa started way before and was there at like 7:30 in the morning, right off the ship when we got to port, and started chalking everything, outlining everything out. And she was able to see the girls. Now, most of the time, this is a school day when we go into ports. And so this was the same case for that day. But she was able to see them before they left. And they were so excited to see, kind of just some first glimpses of what it may look like, even with the chalk. So what was so amazing was before that morning, actually, one of our passengers had just had a really difficult time because her mother was experiencing health issues. And so it all hit her that morning and was just not doing well emotionally and just the anxiety and the weight of all of that, that when a parent is going through something, it just weighs heavy, and she was experiencing that. So we weren't sure if she was going to be able to make it on the mission trip, but on the excursion, but she did. And she chose to come and be a part and push through. And I saw her as she was painting all of these outlines. It was just amazing to see her countenance completely change as she was, actively engaged in creating. And that's even in another way, it was not an experiential. It was not at a therapeutic art workshop, but it was literally just doing the work of the excursion and painting that what we see day in and day out is there unfolding before us again. And it was a healing day, even though it was sad that we couldn't see the girls and interact with them. It was still so many highlights of the day of seeing people just feel the effects of creativity. Yeah. And another one was we were able to get Bibles and inscribe them for each of the girls. And one of the passengers, we had this list, and this is a list of names for the girls. I'm not going to say the names, but I can't throw this away. I can't throw this list away. Every time I see it, I'm cleaning out my drawer. I think about those girls and where they are now, and I try to say a prayer for them, you know. But it just, to know that they were going to be able to have Bibles, which is something that they really desired, and we were able to beautify their space, and people brought school supplies too. But each of the passengers, each of the team members wrote out a note to each of the girls. And one of the team members inscribed a scripture from John. And so I noticed, I was kind of, observing the room, and I noticed she was wiping tears. And I just sat by her and was like, "Are you okay?" Just checking in. And she said, "My dad's name is John." Her dad had passed away prior to the trip a couple years before. And this scripture was on my heart to share with this young lady. And she said, it's healing for me. Like, just writing this scripture in my dad's name and knowing that I'm able to impart that to someone else is just in a way healing for her.
Yeah.
And so there's so many things that come out of these excursions that are even more than the work that we're doing, but just as special, they're additions, but they're just as special. And those are moments that I won't forget.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's so it's challenging, but also in a way it's kind of reflective of this thing we call life, where you and Lisa Lonsbury and your team, you put in the work in this girl's home, and it's beautiful. You did a wonderful job.
Amazing job.
You're able to hand them Bibles or give the staff Bibles to give to the girls with their names in it and the scriptures. And you never saw them.
Never saw them.
You never saw them.
No.
And I think that's such a challenging, but also a beautiful picture of how of life. When you meet somebody, or when you are interacting and engaging with somebody, whether you might know them for years, you're doing this, maybe it's an art therapy program or something like that. Whatever you're doing, and if you're fortunate, you'll get to see the impact of that this side of eternity. But so often, there are times where we will put in work, and we'll do things, and we'll, try to serve these people, and we'll never truly see the impact this side of eternity. But how cool is it to know that all that is in God's hands, and there's a chance that the girl that you never really got to meet, maybe she read that Bible, and you'll see her again on the flip side of eternity. Those little nuggets of hope of like, it's not work in vain, even if you don't see the reaction. For whether it's building a bed, in orphanages, or if it's something like distributing food. In a Haitian Batey. You never know.
That. Tell us about the Haitian Batey.
In the Dominican Republic, about 30 minutes away from the port, there's a large Haitian Batey. Batey is a fancy word for slum. And it's we went there for twofold, to pack food and give food to the families there that lived there. And the second was to help clean up the Batey and maybe leave some things behind to try to stir up some ownership of the place and encourage them to clean up as well. And so we drive up there, we get off this dirt road, and you're in this kind of this beautiful part of the country. I mean, the Dominican Republic is very pretty. And I mean, I'm trying my best to describe, you've got these houses, but the houses are more of a, I would say, it's an assembly of sheet metal that has been kind of formed into a house. There was like a little side renegade team that took some sheet metal and installed new roofs for some of the houses in need. And so we roll into the Batey, and there's a church. Like, well, the first building when you get there, it's a church. And that church, the pastor there has kind of identified, here's some families in need of the new roofs. And then we want to serve our community and show them love of Christ by giving out some food and helping maybe tidy up around the church and just really kind of give it the dignity it deserves. And so we started the day, and we're okay. Everybody gets a cup of rice, and we kind of quickly, because again, for context, we're coming off the ship, and while some team members from PAC have been there, Gene and Rebecca might have been there. Mm-hmm. It's the first time I'm there. It's the first time definitely the first time everybody from the ship is there.
Right.
So the first hour or two, it's a little bit of organized chaos. You got to kind of figure out where everything is. Oh, we thought we were going to have trash bags. We didn't. We thought we were going to have, and so, okay, all right, we're going to take empty bags of sugar and empty bags of rice, and those will be our trash bags. It's kind of adapting on the fly.
And part of the reason for trash bags was trash pickup. You guys were cleaning the Batey, right?
Right. We brought some, I call them snag 'em grabbers. I don't know what the proper term is, but those little hooks that you can reach down and pick things up with.
Yeah, the grabbers, yeah.
Yeah. And so we brought some of those. So half our team is out kind of beautifying the space around the church, and then there's two very large fields with some soccer goals, and we'll come back to those soon. But that was like a staple of the community. Again, I think it's I don't think it's by accident that when you pull into the Batey, on your right is the church, and then on the left are the soccer fields, and then you go in. So those are the two, like, kind of the pillars of the community from what I gathered.
That's cool.
And so again, you're doing all this work, and it's as a team. We don't know the families there. There's some ladies from the church who were invaluable. My goodness, they held it down, and they wanted to serve. They were like, we're not here to be passive. We want to dive in. So not only are we serving as a team in our bright mission excursion church, but also we have some ladies from the church who are really passionate about helping and serving.
That's awesome.
And so then it came time for the food distribution to happen, and we didn't plan it this way, but it kind of worked out this way, that the way to really kind of capture everybody's attention and get their attention on here's how the food distribution is going to work is our good friend Jared Emerson showed up. And he and Isaac and Jared's wife, Barbara, and Jared were actually on our team. So they're helping doing the food distribution. And so Jared gets there, and on the side of the church, he takes his kind of 4 foot by 5 foot black canvas, gaff tapes it up to the side of the church building, and to the sound of a very faint Bluetooth speaker, to Hillsong's Oceans, or So Will I. So Will I is what he painted to.
Love that song.
He paints the face of God. And so, in the midst of all, and it was, I don't want to pretty it up more than it was chaotic trying to figure out where all the stuff was. There were some things that we thought we were going to have that we didn't. I'm trying to make phone calls out. How can we do this? It's chaotic. And then again, just like kind of the resounding theme of this is in the midst of all the chaos, all the activity going on, here's Jared being like, and here's who we're doing this all for, and here's why we're doing it. And he paints the face of God. It's absolutely beautiful. And then we distribute out the food to the families. They kind of walk through the church. So they walk in the front door, out the back door. So it truly was a line.
And you guys got to really interact.
We got to interact
with the families too.
Yeah, and the pastor of the church was able to be there and kind of make connections with them. There was awesome. A little bit of a language barrier, and so, but to the best of our ability, we're showing people the love of Christ. The mission excursion passengers and the team members, they are equally, if not more, passionate about this stuff than we are sometimes. And so they're bringing in, they got stickers and they got, little candy for the kids. And so they're eating it up. And, just little ways to show love, show that they went the extra mile, that we're here, but also we brought this stuff on our, ourselves to distribute out.
Absolutely.
And then, then it ends with, we had 6 soccer balls that we very, very intentionally waited until the end to bring out. Otherwise, it'd been crazy. But we end the mission excursion with getting to play soccer with the kids. And Isaac, man, Isaac really got into it, rolled up the jeans. It absolutely. So also,
I love
as a
this
fun little
footage.
thing, it's great footage. The reason why it's so wet is because just another variable of the day is it was sunny, beautiful day, and then all of a sudden, almost like those storms that happen here in July, where it's like all of a sudden you look up and the sky that used to be sunny, you look back up 5 minutes later and it looks like, the world's about to end. And so the sky just falls out.
Yeah.
And for 20, 30 minutes, it dumps the rain.
Oh, man.
And so the field, which, it's not irrigated well at all, now just becomes kind of this mud pit. Mm-hmm. That did not keep anybody from doing anything when it comes to soccer. And so Isaac is playing and Jared's doing jump rope with some of the kids. And that was really cool to be able to engage with the community there and really show them love of Christ. And again, it's a short amount of time. We're there for 6 to 8 hours, but just like that air clay, just the simplicity of it, even though it's a short amount of time, it's incredible what God can do in those moments that kind of exceed maybe what seems physically possible, the impact that you can make even in those short amount of times. And
absolutely.
It was really fun. And it was a good time.
Something you highlighted was these team members the passengers always like they're so generous.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen that, but literally in every single mission excursion I've seen, they brought school supplies, they brought, toys, they brought Bibles, they brought Jesus loves you bracelets. Yeah. I mean, all of these things, they're so generous, and it's amazing to see the work accomplished and to see them interact.
Yeah, it's so fun that we have the opportunity and the ability to integrate art and music and kind of the heart of our mission into these. Something that stuck out to me with the K-Love cruise is Allison. We were able to do some therapeutic music with Center of Hope down in Grand Turk, and that's kind of this, for lack of a better term, it's like a one-size-fits-all mental health facility. It's everything is there. And so it's all types of situations and circumstances. And Allison just really went above and beyond, learned the culture of the music. Rake and scrape is a really big genre down there. And so she brought, a rake and scrape instrument, brought that there. They played that. Just this absolutely gorgeous moment of, like you said, passengers and these, I guess Center of Hope's clients or their patients singing together, and just music being the common language there. And then Allison, again, she's awesome. She had the discernment or just even the awareness that, man, leaving the rake and scrape would be a really good move and just really mean a lot. And so she left the rake and scrape with the Dr. Malcolm, who runs Center of Hope, and there's a picture of them standing, like just beaming, just kind of like this symbol of, we want to show the love of Christ and this things you can do, and also just the universality of the arts and how, I'm sitting here watching this happen with Center of Hope, and I'm like, man, this feels a lot like what happens at Triune, know, and just like I've seen Allison lead music therapy at Triune. I see her here. We're in 2 different countries, 2 different cultures, different styles, but this is like a universal language. It's language for the soul, and it's it's just all those things. It's really beautiful to be able to see that, and the cruises are a big joy, and we'll be on the next one here before we know it, Mariah.
Very soon to have more adventures and reach out to more people.
Yeah.
Along with amazing passengers.
Yeah. Hey, gallery listeners, I want to take a quick pause in today's episode and invite you to partner with us in our mission of using the arts as a vehicle of healing and hope. Your financial gift will go to further our programs and initiatives around the world, cultivating space where God can come in and do healing work. To join us, you can visit our website at premierartscollective.com/give. Here, you can give a one-time gift or become a part of our monthly giving community, The Curated. Thank you so much.
So in addition to the cruises, we were able to partner with an artist this year and hit the road.
Go on tour.
Yeah, we went on tour. So tell us about it, Logan.
Yeah, so Ryan Ellis, a dear friend of Premier Arts Collective, and our paths have intersected a number of times over the years. He was at Kaleidoscope in 23, and we got to do some really cool stuff with him in 24, actually during Hurricane Helene. He had an idea of going on tour, doing a solo tour, and for his first solo tour, maybe mixing some things up a bit. There's kind of the standard of what you would do when you go on tour as a Christian artist. Maybe the venues that you would go to are churches or other venues like that. And Ryan really had a heart for going to venues that maybe don't usually see gospel music, Christian music, day in, day out. And so he had this idea and talking to us about it. And then one of our donors actually had on their heart a heart for Ryan's music being, played to the masses across the country. And so in just this beautiful marriage, we were able to be a nonprofit supporter of Ryan's Better Days tour. Ryan was the headliner of the tour. It was his Better Days tour. Lee Vossi was an opening act, and she's incredible. And then Jared was a performance painter in between their sets. And so, I believe it was a Sunday. We got up to New York, and we get to the venue. And again, these are venues that might not see Christian music day in, day out. My comparison to it is all of these venues could probably be in like a Tony Hawk Underground 2 video game, right?
I love that reference.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's got there's stickers everywhere. It might not be stickers that you'd want your kid to read. It's just kind of these, old wood floors, and I mean, they're bars, they're clubs, they're places that, again, probably not going to see that type of music. And so,
what was the staff thinking? Like, how was their reaction to this?
That's a great question. It was kind of a mix. All of it mostly positive, I would say. Mm-hmm. And I remember in D.C., we were playing this venue right by the water. It was really pretty. Probably one of the prettier venues that we were at. And it's about 250 cap, and there's a restaurant attached to it. And it wasn't me, but somebody kind of on the team overheard some of the kitchen staff being like, "Hey, do you know these guys are Christian artists? Do you listen to Christian music?" "No, I don't listen to Christian music." "Well, I guess we're about to listen to some Christian music tonight." And, if you listen to Ryan, if you listen to Lee, they've got soul. Lee is an incredible R&B artist. Ryan has a very distinct sound, his West Coast, like type of sound. And so, it's a really fresh take, but in the middle, at the core of it, it's the gospel. And I think one of my favorite things on the tour is it's going to these places that don't see Christian music day in, day out, and reaching people who, it was a wide array of people. In New York, it was probably, in New York and Philadelphia, those two venues, I definitely remember it's primarily people in their mid-20s, young 30s was kind of the masses, and they're stoked, and everybody's kind of got their look, they got that look. In Charlotte, there was some like that. It was in NODA, if you're familiar with that kind of part of Charlotte. It's a really hip, like West Greenville on steroids type of vibe.
Like the arts district.
The arts district.
Yeah.
And a lot of people in their 40s and 50s. And so, it's just kind of Ryan's audience is kind of built that way. He's got kind of those new Christian artists, we really like that kind of new feel, and people who know him from Heart of the Father on K-Love. And so to be able to see both of those audiences in a dive bar worshiping. Ryan started out with a set, and he's got some very upbeat songs. I'm not ever coming down.
Yeah, I love that one.
Just starts out, and we're just all vibing. And, then in the middle of it, How He Loves. And what's the All Sons and Daughters song? It's like the classic 6/8 bridge. all the earth will sing your praise. Our heart will.
Great are you, Lord.
Yes. So, So, he played that song and Great Are You, Lord. And there was one night in DC where Ryan really, really leaned into kind of his testimony and being in the military and the loss of his son and all these things. And, I'm sitting there and this is coming fresh off of Lee's incredible set. Jared painted, the Lion and the Lamb one night. He did the Face of God one night. I'm guilty of this more than anybody. Our team is kind of guilty of this. It's just go, go, go. What's the next thing? Go, go, go. Mm-hmm. And there are just times in the work that we do where it just seems like everything kind of stops.
Yeah.
And God just says, hey, just like take a deep breath and just focus on where you're at.
Live this moment.
Mm-hmm. And I'm looking around and Ryan's testimony is just reaching people.
Yeah.
And we're all praising together and we're in these clubs and dive bars. And it's like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
This is so cool that we are able to pack. We're able to help bring this music and this message that Ryan and Lee and Jared are being the mouthpieces for to folks who maybe some in the room are believers and they're there because they love Ryan. But then again, you got the fisherman's wife, got all these people that you're actually there for, the kitchen staff, people who maybe this is the first time they're hearing the message of the gospel. Mm-hmm.
And hope kind of repackaged in a fresh, like you said, Ryan's such a fresh take.
Yeah.
And that's what he really, it's that same gospel message. It's the same, message of hope.
Yeah.
But it's this new, it's his take. It's his flavor.
Yeah.
Right?
It's his flavor. And man, some of the stories that Ryan holds personally of people coming up to him and, just saying how much his music meant to them or meant to their kids. And, there's one video that Gene was able to capture in New York. And it's this father holding his son. Son's probably, 7, 8, 9 years old. And it's the heart. The song is Heart of the Father. Mm-hmm. And it's that we sing praise. And, this father is holding his son, literally singing about how, we're drawn to the heart of the Father, the Heavenly Father. And just to see these moments happening in these rooms, right in the heart of New York, right in the heart of Philadelphia, right in the heart of Charlotte and Atlanta and DC, it was incredible. It was really, really cool. And to reach those audiences, to be able in those spaces that honestly we find ourselves in a lot. That tension of of bringing Christian hope and the hope and healing that can come in Christ, and bring those in spaces where maybe you wouldn't expect. We're familiar with being in that tension, kind of like living in the tension of those two. Mm-hmm. And it was just really beautiful to be able to be a part of that. And there's stories of, gosh, just the logistics of getting up there.
Tell us a little. Peel back the curtain just a little bit, and tell about what it was like taking a road trip with Jared and Gene.
Whew. Yeah, it was fun. It was fueled a lot by caffeine and Sweet Tarts ropes, if you're familiar with those. Because I've never really been on tour, and I also I feel like the ball boy, right? Like I'm on the field, but I'm not actually playing the game. But every now and then I'll catch a ground ball, and but yeah, we get up there. I drove solo up to New York. Because Jared and Gene had a prior commitment, so I drove up there, and then they flew up and met me that morning, and then just kind of the way the routing worked, most of our drives were happening at night, and by at night I mean like
late, like after the concert.
We're hitting the road at 11:30 at night on a good note, but
fast food stops and all the jazz,
exactly,
all the fun,
exactly, all the things that make touring fun, or so they say. But yeah, I think also in those moments you just get to just organically you learn people's hearts more.
Yeah.
Some of the conversations we had were really, really impactful and cool. And we have the joy of knowing Jared personally and Gene, and man, they're just they're in it for the right reasons. Jared's heart for why he does things. And, it's to sing Jared's praises real quick. These venues, some of these venues have like the square footage of a postage stamp, like it's a tight space.
Yeah.
And when you've seen Jared perform, he likes to move, he likes to groove.
Sure.
His canvases are 4 foot by 5 foot. And so, there's the ideal world of Jared being on the stage and, he has the carpet underneath it. We want to make sure that all the instruments are covered. And that reality happened about 60% of the time. What normally happened was we're finding kind of this inopportune corner that it can work. And, there was one time where Jared and I in Philly, we had to run to a TJ Maxx and try to find a rug that would work that was small enough. And, Jared has performed on some of the biggest stages in some very large places in front of thousands of people. And Jared has also duct taped his canvas to the wall in a Haitian Batey and everywhere in between. And, in these spaces, it's not ideal. It's a small stage. You're kind of making things work. And he's just really humble about all those things. And because he knows that he's not the heartbeat. Yes, he's fun to watch and it's beautiful, but what's on that canvas is the message. And he knows that as long as that message can be communicated, the rug, how much paint you can fling, how much you can jump around, all that stuff is inconsequential. And it was really, really, really neat to see those things kind of happen. And what an honor it is that, again, a big thanks to the donor who has a heart for making these things possible. What a joy it was that we were able to be a part of this and, support Ryan on his first, solo tour and bring it to life and see those things and see the dreams. And, there was a time where we're, just sitting around. I think the hotel pool is a really nice night out and we're just sitting, it's late at night and just, again, same thing as Jared, Ryan's heart and his passion for wanting to do these things and why he wants to do them. Would love to have him on the podcast soon and just discuss about, he's playing living rooms, Isla Vista worship, that really organic, just living room. Let's just see revival. Let's just see revival. And he wants to take that and see revival all across the country and all across the world. And just beautiful souls doing the work. And it's not, it's not all fun and games. It's tough. It's Ryan has kids. We all have kids. Away from your family, doing things. But so many lives were touched through that tour. And it's truly a testimony to all of them. Lee, want to give a huge shout out to Lee. Man, she's just got it. Her set, everything was just, it was almost like watching a movie or like watching a play. Everything was so beautifully orchestrated. It was organic, but it was planned. And, she shares some of the bits of her testimony from the stage and being able to see these, again, normally when you're seeing somebody share about the gospel or you're hearing somebody share about the work that God has done in their life, it's normally happening behind a pulpit, maybe at a church camp and like a gymnasium. I think this was the first time I can think of where it's happening and you're just in this dive bar, and for that to be places where hope and healing are being shared, it was really cool.
That is so awesome to hear. I love the impact that was able to be had on that tour in so many different ways. And, something as you're talking about this, something I've been thinking about is the value of the relationships. And throughout the cruises, throughout, everything that we do and the connections and how meaningful that is. And, Jared has been a part of PAC for many years now and has been integral. And part of that came perspective.
Yeah. Oh,
which was, an art show that I think Premier Foundation did for about 12 years, 10 years, something like that.
Yeah.
Over the years. And that was Jared's art show and Premier Foundation, which is PAC.
Yeah.
Before we rebranded, benefited from that. And that was an amazing event. And over the years, we've rebranded that event as well and invited other artists. But Jared is the host, and he is still a very integral part in that. And Ryan, actually, a couple years ago, was able to, we were able to have him out and perform at that event. And you even said one year we had to cancel it because of the hurricane. And he still came, and he still, was cutting down trees in people's yards, like you were saying in part one. And so it's just amazing to see the relationships and to see the development and all that's been able to be accomplished from that. Why don't you tell us more about perspective and just the journey of that part of PAC?
Yeah, I mean, if you follow us on social or get our emails, I'm sure you've seen us talk about, promote, get excited about Kaleidoscope. And Kaleidoscope has been the event that it is for the past 3 years, 23, 24, and 25. But like you mentioned, up until then, it was called Perspective. And it was Jared's art show. Jared's art was the only art in the gallery. He was the main performer. It was his time to shine. It was his exhibition. It was his moment of performing in Greenville, in his hometown. And through our relationship with Jared, he's very generous, and the Premier Foundation was the benefactor of the proceeds. So a portion of the art sales went to the foundation, and if ticket sales went to the foundation and things like that. And again, referring back to the episode with Gene and myself, on the journey from the Premier Foundation to Premier Arts Collective, arts became this resounding drumbeat in our journey. And so when we rebranded to Premier Arts Collective, the same heart that Jared had for using the arts as a vehicle of healing and hope now is ours as well. And so in 2021, right when I joined like 4 weeks before this event happened. It's called Changing Perspective, because we knew that the event and Jared was signed off on it, that we're going to be changing the perspective of what this event is. And then in 2022, actually, we didn't have an event at all. And then
that was the year I joined the team.
Yeah. We like a lot of things were going on, and it just wasn't in the cards. And I think what that allowed us to do is really think about and dwell on what this was going to be moving forward. And that came, then Kaleidoscope was born out of that. And like you said, just this multifaceted event. Jared is the host and he's the main performer, but we had 15 artists, or 15, 16 artists involved this year. And so just to be able to get others involved and just show the arts as a vehicle of healing and hope in a number of ways. Lisa was a part of it. Allison's a part of it. Chelsea Fraser was writing poetry on the spot. It's really cool how it's evolved. But going back to your point about the power of relationship, I'm regularly blown away by that. The people that make the mission excursions possible, the people that make Kaleidoscope possible, the people that make our programs possible, all those are relationships. Yes. And what a joy it is to have such a passion and conviction for showing the love of Christ through the arts, with that being the vehicle, and say, hey, this is what we do. And so many people saying, me too. Mm-hmm. Me too. I want to be a part of that. How can I be a part of it? How can I make that happen? Because goodness gracious, it's certainly not just the four of us doing any of this. And so, we've been able to do so much through the servants' hearts of so many people. Yeah. And one of those people who joined on kind of in a new way this year was Emily Capelli.
Yeah.
My goodness. So we're going in, we think we're doing Kaleidoscope, we're kind of going down that path, marketing, and this actually ties into the Ryan tour. So fun little story here of how this whole thing came to life. So, I mean, Gene. Gene and I both have the blessing or maybe the curse of seeing what things could be rather than what they are. So we're sitting in Charlotte.
Visionaries.
Yeah, something like that. We're in Charlotte. We're at the venue in Noda. And this is the fourth show of the tour with Ryan. And it's like, man, we should be doing something like this. Right? I think back to the conversation with Gene. Again, this is probably the 5th time that the conversation with myself and Gene have been mentioned. So just go back and listen to that at some point in time. When Gene is in Jordan and he sees the pictures on the wall of what was your village like before ISIS and after ISIS in the elementary school. And he goes, we should be doing something like this. Not in a, how can we obtain that level of glory or impact or whatever, but this is so special. How can this be, white labeled and multiplied out? And so there's a picture that I'll put up in here. It's me and Gene and Jared sitting on the bench outside of this venue in Charlotte. And Gene literally was like, man, take a picture of this moment because we're going to look back at it. And he's like, a listening room. We need to have a listening room. And that night, also in Charlotte, Emily was there, Emily Capelli. And Emily was Gene's first ever intern back when he worked for Greenville Events. And Emily has an incredible story as well. All these dots, there'll be future episodes for sure. And, Emily is getting back in the music scene. She had just actually mutually left her job with a church here in Greenville where she was the worship leader. And we did the listening room. All right. So that was kind of the idea, the spark. And then we're in a meeting, probably as a staff, and it's, well, goodness, okay, we've got Kaleidoscope coming up. What are we going to do? How can we market 2 events at the same time? Is that even responsible? It's like, well, what if we actually just integrated it into Kaleidoscope? Call it Kaleidoscope, the listening room with Emily Capelli. Okay. That was about as far as we got, in that meeting, but it's like, all right, let's make it happen. And Gene talked to Emily, an incredible dude by the name of Talon Hawthorne, who runs Da Vinci House. If you're a Greenville local, you need to get to Da Vinci House
Cool
and check it
space.
out. His whole ethos with this gallery is how beauty can save the world. So again, just the overlap of the mission. Talon was gracious enough to let us have this listening room in his spot. And honestly, out of all the things that we have done organizationally, I don't know if you felt the same way about this. This very much felt like the most let's just lick the stamp and send it and hope for the best. I don't know what's going to happen. Are 5 people going to show up? Are 100 people going to show up? What's going to happen?
Yeah.
We just kind of went with it. And so we have Kaleidoscope, the listening room, and October 10th, we had that event at Da Vinci House. And about 50, 55 people showed up. They're very excited. Gene gets up, welcomes people, says, hey, this is who we are. And then Emily gets up. Just her and a guitar. She's an incredible storyteller. And it was a wonderful, wonderful night of just hearing Emily's heart, hearing the stories behind her songs. The pastor that she worked with who had taken his own life, and the blooms that have come from that. She has a song called "Look at the Birds," and in the music video, the daughters of the pastor are actually in the music video about how God provides for the birds, and if he's going to provide for the birds and if he's going to take care of the lilies, how much more we take care of us, and that being the heartbeat of the song. And there was a song about an inmate that she met at Perry Correctional Facility, and just all these things kind of overlapping and seeing how Emily's heart and Pac's heart were aligning. And it was just an incredible night that kicked off Kaleidoscope. But again, the power of relationship and just how so many people, yes, it was a Pac branded thing, and Emily's a part of the family and all these things, but just overall, people have such a desire, such a longing to see a glimpse of heaven this side of eternity. And music can do that, and the arts can do that. And to be able to be a catalyst in the room just for allow those things to happen, where all we did was we had like a little ticket thing, you could buy the tickets, we had a little merch set up in the back, and we brought some chairs in. That was about it. And it wasn't anything fancy. It wasn't anything that was going to be like, groundbreaking. This is going to be the future of PAC. It was an empty room with 30 chairs, about 20 people were standing, and it was amazing. And again, the air clay, people leaving their mark, people making their own song, people going to a dive bar and hearing Ryan. The barrier to entry being lowered, and just the simplicity of it. The simplicity sometimes is so beautiful in and of itself because it strips away all the noise. It strips away all the surrounding elements that might be distracting from the heartbeat. And that was my takeaway from that event, is just like, it's simple, it's beautiful, and it brings people to a place of healing, for themselves.
Absolutely. It was a beautiful night. It really was. I love it when we have those meetings when we're unsure of really how it's all going to take place and what's going to unfold, and we're trying something new. There's always unknowns a part of that, but it just turned out to be a great, great night.
Yeah. And that was the kickoff for Kaleidoscope, which was, it feels like forever ago. It feels like yesterday. In reality, it was about a month and some change ago.
And that's been our heart too with Kaleidoscope. As this has really evolved as an event, to have it as, we talk about this word facets.
Yeah.
Let's get into that. Because the whole idea, I remember the first meeting about Kaleidoscope, and it was not called Kaleidoscope at that point. We knew we wanted something fresh. It had been perspective for years. So what are we going to do? It's like the vision meetings of, okay, what could this be? And then you and I were sitting across from each other, and we had these Greek words come to our mind. Zoe. Life, abundant life, and we were like, oh, we could call it Zoe, which is a cool name.
Cool word.
Zoe Zen,
Yeah, everybody would have thought the event was called Zoe, though, so that would have been tough.
Yeah.
That was one of the more practical obligations of that.
Yeah, ZOE. It was just like, what could we do? And then we came up with a creative direction, right? Yeah. And we pitched that, and I started thinking about this idea of facets. Yeah. I started looking at prisms and seeing all the different sides to jewels and to prisms. And then in that search, a kaleidoscope image came up. And so that's when we were going to do Zoe with that theme of kaleidoscope and all of that. And so then even in the meeting, Gene and Rebecca just stop and they're like, why don't you call it Kaleidoscope?
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, that's a great idea. So to just see how it's evolved from perspective, and Kaleidoscope is a type of perspective. It's
100%.
a multifaceted perspective, and we're a multifaceted organization. So it just, all these connections started coming together of how we want this event to be a multifaceted experience where you're surrounded by art and engaging with art. And the listening room, to bring it back to that, is maybe it's more than one night. Maybe it's an experience that expands beyond the immersive art experience of Fundraiser night. So this was really, really exciting to be able to do this event and to see how we could expand.
Yeah, it was a really fun one. I really enjoyed this year's Kaleidoscope. Every year I always, and I know Gene and Rebecca always look forward to seeing what you've got in store, what you're going to whip together for the theme. And, this year's theme that you came up with was Art is Language for the Soul. And, I just remember getting really, really excited about that theme because it's so specific yet so vast all at the same time. Tell us more about the theme of this year's event, what it means organizationally. I would also love to hear what it means to you, because you put your heart and your soul into these things. So it clearly also means a lot to you. What was kind of the why behind the what on the theme? And then how did that theme play out over the course of the night with, to your point, all of the facets of the evening?
Yeah, that is a great question. Art is language for the soul. Honestly, one day it just popped in my head because we had been talking a lot about how art speaks when words fail. And
Yeah.
I love that. We have merch about it, we have talked about it, and we still believe that. But then I started thinking about the linguistic arts and
Yeah.
thinking about people like Chelsea Frazier, who we've had on the podcast, and her gift and all that she brings to PAC, and thinking about the words and how art, poetry, songwriting,
Yeah.
there are so many that is art too. There are so many elements of that is language for the soul too. And so that's the idea, and the heart was to say, hey, there's something here. And that's really where it began, of saying we need to expand beyond art speaks when words fail, because sometimes art is the words.
Yeah.
And so
Well said.
with that came this idea where we were working on a lot of different projects at the time, and I was noticing some information and just some meat. I'm all about like those underpinnings of the why, and to really get into the meat of things, and that's a big part of my heart. And so we believe that people were created by God to create.
Yep.
And so with all of that there is a life. There is that Zoe life, but there is, in the beginning, we believe that God breathed life into mankind.
Yeah.
And from that, mankind became a living being. And the word there is a Greek word, nepha, which is soul. And it literally means like that life source within you and within every living being, every person. And God put that there. And that is what art is to me, is that we are expressing ourselves, and the capacity to even do that, the capacity to live, is from God.
Yeah.
And so it's the life of God in us, our unique perspective and our life experiences, and this story that God has written for us, and how we're expressing it through our eyes, through our hands. And it's deep. It comes from such a deep place. And so that's what art is language for the soul came from, is the idea that art is a vehicle of healing and hope, but it's also a vehicle of expression.
Yeah.
And from that, when we're able to express and we're able to process those things within us, organizationally, that is a underpinning belief of why we use the arts therapeutically, because we believe that it connects us to each other, it connects us to our experiences, it connects ideas, it inspires us, and it allows us to express and really release things that are inside of us and life, the hard stuff in life, and really release that and process it and move forward and find a pathway to recovery.
So you mentioned Kaleidoscope, different angles, different perspectives, different facets. Share more about all the facets that folks experienced at Kaleidoscope, and maybe share some nuggets of how all those came to life.
Oh man, so many. It's funny because when people ask what it's like to experience Kaleidoscope, I have to just breathe before I talk about it, because it is so much. It is a truly immersive experience. And so part of that, we had a gallery that was on the theme Art as Language for the Soul. And through that, we had artists that, there again, those relationships, people that we are aligned with, that are aligned with the mission of PAC, and they became a part. We had our collective members, artists that are just aligned there again with the mission of PAC. And so we were able to share with them this idea that art is language for the soul. And man, did they catch on.
Golly.
Did they just take it to another level with their own experience and their own gifts. And so that was amazing to see. It was amazing. This year we did it a little different in preparation for Kaleidoscope, as we were able to meet up at Jared's studio and have all the artists meet together and just connect, and then have a couple of other gatherings where we were able to impart some mentorship and bring somebody in, Michelle Radford, one of our artists, she was able to give a talk and just create that community. And I think that further spurred on this idea that art is language for the soul, and people just really connected with that. And so that was the gallery, and those works were amazing that everybody came up with. So there was that, and then there was Jared, of course, hosting and performing. We had Jamie. She sang while Jared performed, and just seeing them together was really cool. And outside we had different artists come, and we had a literally live sculpting out there, which was amazing. Some people got the attendees got to, be a part of literally forming the sculpture, which was a really neat experience. And Lisa Lounsbury, was out there asking people how art is language for their souls and what that was about for them. And so we had like a community art piece that she created, and everyone created that was a part of it, and so that was awesome. And then Chelsea, I love this idea. I think it came together in one of the creative collective meetings. It just like organically formed. But you had her write on a typewriter different poems, and she came and tell us more about like what that was like and how that came to be.
Goodness, the garden was fantastic. The garden area where Lisa and Mark, the live sculptor, Chelsea and Allison, who we can talk about Allison's piece as well because that was so special.
Yes.
So Chelsea had this heart of, man, what would it be like to write live poetry? Not necessarily perform poetry live, but write a poem in the moment for somebody who came up to her and, gave her, a handful of words. And so we're trying to figure this out. Is this something where you ask, what are some words, or just tell me a bit about yourself and write a poem? So there was a word bank. We created a word bank, Chelsea did, of, here are some words. Some probably going to be listed more positive emotions, maybe some negative, maybe some in between. Where are we feeling? How are we gauging? Gauging how they're feeling. So they would select, 3 or 4 words, or if they were feeling confident, give words that were just on their heart, because if it's like, hey, the word bank isn't providing the language that I am feeling in my soul. Here you go. And shout out to Gene. Gene let Chelsea use his typewriter that he has reminded us a lot of, that he got his journalism degree on that thing.
I love it. And
wrote a whole lot of papers, and often pokes and prods at us young whippersnappers who were able to write papers on laptops and not have to use whiteout. Fired up the typewriter, and Chelsea on the spot, people would come up and give her, words, and she would write those words down, ask some, questions about the person, what those words might mean to them, and write the poem in a notebook, and then take those poems and type them up. And we had cellophane sleeves, slid the poem in, and that was a gift to the person. And even the things I heard from Chelsea of families who came and they're, next thing you know, they're walking away, they read the poem and they're in tears.
Yeah.
Just how much it touched their lives.
Yeah.
People who, Chelsea wrote me a poem. It's incredible. It's incredible. Just how those words, I love calling back to your point about how we intentionally pivoted from art speaks when words fail to art is language for the soul. Those words were life-giving.
Yeah.
And to be able to see how somebody else who is gifted in writing poetry to take everyday words or things that I'm feeling that to me, I was just tossing these things out here and turn that into this beautiful piece that resonates deep within, my heart. It's incredible. So that was a wonderful part. Allison, again, brought her loop station.
Cool.
She was working, she has upgraded some pieces to it, even since the cruise. And so we brought that out there and set up a table, and it was a come out and make your own song. And so we had headphones. So Allison had a set of headphones, and then, the person sitting across from the table had some headphones. And they could very quietly and powerfully make their own song. Allison had, a shaker out there. They had a microphone you could sing into. And I probably went out in the garden probably 6 to 8 times at that night. And I never saw a time where that seat was empty with Allison.
Wow.
People loved it.
Yeah.
They loved it. And I think what an honor it is to, at a fundraiser, it's a gallery, it's a party, it's a concert and performance experience, it's a culinary experience with our friends at Excursion creating some wonderful food, and we've got some wonderful drinks and food and all these things happening, and we get to literally have our mission lived out with the participants of the fundraiser.
Yeah.
So not only do you get to see, okay, here's where the funds are going, and, if you're going to bid on Jared's painting, know that it goes to further the mission.
Right.
But go outside and you can experience that mission for yourself. And Chelsea actually said it really, really well. And it's kind of this thing that has stuck with me. Inside Kaleidoscope, artists are communicating with you how art is language for their soul. Jared performing, Jamie's songs, the artist's painting on the wall, which if you were there and you had time to sit with those pieces, some of the stories behind them are incredible.
They are.
So they're communicating how art is language for their soul. And then outside, you got to communicate how art is language for your soul.
Yeah.
You got to make a song. You got to be a part of creating this sculpture with Mark, Patrick. You got to literally write down on this beautiful mandala painting that Lisa did and Mariah Martin did with Lisa like the day before about how art is language for your soul. And some of the responses on that are amazing. It truly is, it's an honor to be able to do all those things, and all of that being rooted in art is language for the soul. Everybody can do this. This isn't, here's some really, really talented visual artists. Here's some really incredible performance artists, and Jamie and Jared and Son and Dove. My goodness, got to give them their flowers. They set the table. They set the table for the event with this beautiful spoken word, just absolutely incredible. And everybody's really, really good at their craft. And everybody can create. Like you mentioned, everybody's created to create. And to be able to bring all those worlds in one giant kaleidoscope, it's amazing. Ramin.
Yeah.
Golly, Ramin, we had our photo booth at the event. Ramin took this old Polaroid camera and outfitted it with this kaleidoscope filter, and he's got this whole thing called Kaleidoscope Canon. I can't even describe it. It's so in-depth and intense, and we probably need to have him explain what it means. But just everything at that event being centered around, this is an art form, and this is how I'm communicating.
Yeah.
And this is how you can join me in that.
And even with Allison, the part where it began with their heartbeat.
Yes.
And the rhythm of their heartbeat.
Thank you for calling that out.
Because how much more language for the soul can you get from your very own heartbeat, you know?
For context, one of the coolest things out there is Allison has a Bluetooth stethoscope. So it is this stethoscope that you put up to your heartbeat, and then it will play that to the loop station. And so, goodness gracious, my resting heartbeat is like 92. I'm really excited about this. So then if that's the case, then, the BPM, the beats per minute, the tempo of the song is going to be 92 beats per minute, which is your heartbeat. You're playing a song to your heartbeat. Yeah, it's awesome.
It is so amazing. And one part that I really love about Kaleidoscope, especially this year, is with Raw Means Peace. You got to see everyone's pictures printed out.
Yeah.
And shown on the board, and they got to take those home, and they got to take the poems home.
Yeah.
And this is something where they got to take that and they got to remember and experience yet again and remember and reflect on that experience of how art was language for their soul.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it every year. It is a beautiful chaos bringing it to life. There's so many moving parts, so many pieces. And every year, I think we all leave and go, wow, it was really beautiful. It was really beautiful because, again, how special it is that our fundraiser, our gala that, brings in money to support the mission for the following year. How incredible it is that can also be a participatory experience for everyone who has a ticket and everyone who is involved and engaged. And that's something that's really special. And
absolutely.
And, Kaleidoscope really is, it feels like kind of like the pinnacle of our year in a way, where it's this culmination of everything that we've had the opportunity to do in that calendar year. It's a culmination of being able to participate and experience what it is that we do with the performance arts with Jared and Ryan and the things that we have on the cruises, that performance side, the visual art side, and the therapeutic side. It's kind of this multifaceted thing. And then it also, to me, it feels like an event that kind of pulls the trigger for what's coming up next. And, as soon as Kaleidoscope is done, next thing you know, we have planning meetings for the following year. And we're having conversations with our partners and our program partners about what does 2026 look like.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, it's time to start from the beginning. And so I'm really, really excited to have part 2 of this conversation and start that dialogue of what are the programs that when we say, hey, the funds from the silent auction in the cruises and the proceeds from Kaleidoscope, what is that going to? What are we doing day in, day out? I'm really, really excited to talk about that. And so that's my teaser for part 2, where we dive into the programs with our wonderful, wonderful program partners here in Greenville and around the world, and really excited to talk about that soon.
Yes. Everybody stay tuned for part 2 coming out. I can't wait.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of The Gallery. If you found this episode inspiring, encouraging, or hope-filled in any way, be sure to subscribe wherever you find good podcasts, so that way you can be notified when the next episode releases. If you'd be so inclined, we would love for you to leave us a review or a comment, as that will help expand the reach of this podcast. To learn more about our work as Premier Arts Collective, visit our website at premierartscollective.com and follow us on social media at Premier Arts Collective. Thank you so much.